Each season, Guys Telling Stories seeks out fascinating people with a good story to tell. I'm Rich Douglas, and this man beside me is my co-host, Bill Easton. We're a couple guys who love a good story. So join us on our quest as we find fascinating people with a good story to tell. This is Guys Telling Stories. Welcome to Guys Telling Stories. Great to be here.
It is great to be here.
I know, Bill. I'm looking forward to hearing your Groundhog Day story. I didn't know you went to Punxsutawney.
Went there twice. Went there with my brother and a few friends, I think in 1998, maybe 99. But I went with my hockey team in 1997, and that was a interesting story.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Tell me what brought you to Groundhog Day?
Well, we had a hockey tournament not far from there. Actually, just two games. We had a Friday night game and a Saturday late afternoon game. And when we got out, it was about a short 45-minute drive from the ice rink. And I basically told my buddies that we were going somewhere. We're going to hang out, have a little dinner, because they were going to make dinner for all of us, and then just kind of have a little party type thing. Didn't tell them that it was an overnight experience at Groundhog Day. And a lot of they weren't really happy.
Like, they just thought you were taking a road trip, that you were definitely going to make it back?
Yeah, we're going to stop somewhere. We're going to stop somewhere as a team to eat and hang out, and they're going to put out food for us, and we're going to kick back, watch some TV, and just relax and then finish the trip later. But I kind of surprised them with this whole overnight Groundhog Day thing.
Because it is usually very cold in Pennsylvania in the middle of February.
Yes, it was super cold that night. It was a Saturday night to Sunday morning. So Groundhog Day technically was Sunday morning. But they have a huge party every year. It's my friend Chris. We were RAs together, and there's beer and shot. It's a college atmosphere party at his house, and most everybody got into it for the most part, and then we got there and then stood out in the snow, because you're not indoor, you're outdoors, and it's not shoveled because you're in the middle of the woods and you're wearing what you're wearing. We weren't prepared for this. I didn't tell them that we needed to bring extra clothes. Just whatever winter gear you're traveling in, that's what you're wearing. And tons of people. It's unbelievable how many people were there. I did not expect that many people there.
Well, how many people would you say? Because what were you expecting?
Easily 20,000, and I think at most I was expecting maybe 1,000, probably less. I was like, who the hell does this?
So most of these guys that you were traveling with were expecting a hot meal and a warm place to stay.
Yeah.
And you're telling them instead, let's rally here.
We're going to party it up.
We'll pregame and party here, and then we're going to see Punxsutawney Phil.
Huge buffet
yeah.
of food, and they had a satellite dish, so we're watching all these illegal, the old ones that you crank. Oh,
yeah.
So they had that thing. So we're playing with that. Just drinking games, and probably 30 people at the house. Half of them were guys on our hockey team. And then, kind of let them know, like, hey, we're going to see the Groundhog tonight, guys. Let's go.
Who's with me?
Yeah.
So did you actually see Punxsutawney Phil?
Oh, yeah. We got, we probably got there at 3 a.m, and we got there, and they put some stickers on a couple of us, and I had no idea what the stickers were, but we pretended that meant we could go to the front, so we just kept going, excuse me, and just made our way,
right to the front.
We're drunk college kids.
VIP.
Yeah, VIP, exactly.
Well, it sounds like you had a really, really good time there, and as legend has it, Punxsutawney Phil can tell you if it's going to be a long winter or an early spring. And that brings us to our guest today, Katie Donald. Katie is the executive director of the Groundhog Day Club. And so essentially, Bill, she's the one who talks into Phil's ear, relays messages that people give to her. And she knows the inner workings of literally the inner circle, the Groundhog Day Club, and everything that goes into putting on Groundhog Day.
All I know is they dress well.
Well, if any of our listeners are not too familiar with the holiday, basically it's an old superstitious tradition that says that when the groundhog emerges on the second day of February, if he sees a shadow, then it's going to be a longer winter. And if he doesn't, spring's going to arrive early. And it's traditionally held in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and it's by far the most famous event. They do have other events, some in other places, in and around the United States and in Canada. But like you said, tens of thousands of people flocking to this small community just to see what Phil's going to say.
Yep, a lot of college kids. A lot of, with their signs from where they're from, holding up Penn State and Pitt. And
it sounds like a really good time, and I want to know more about it. So are you ready to talk to Katie?
Let's talk to her, yes.
All right, let's talk to Katie. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Before we get started, where's the best place for people to go online to learn a little bit more about you and Punxsutawney Phil?
They should go to our website, which is groundhog.org. We have a lot of great information on there about Groundhog Day, about Punxsutawney Phil and the Inner Circle. We also have Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter, so feel free, to look us up on any of those platforms. We're pretty active on all of them, so we try to keep them up to date as best as possible. But definitely our website has a whole lot of information on it.
So getting started here, can you tell us what is the history of Groundhog Day?
Sure. It started in 1886, and it was brought to Punxsutawney with the German settlers that were first here, that came obviously from Germany and European heritage. And they came to Punxsy and they did the tradition, something similar to it over there. And then they used a hedgehog during that time. And obviously we don't have hedgehogs in this area. So what they did was they used the next hibernating animal, which would have been a groundhog. So they found Punxsutawney Phil and they started doing the legend and the prediction. And at that point, it definitely didn't grow into be something bigger until the 50s, whenever they started to wear the top hats and tuxedos. And then after that, the movies really what put us on the map. It's somewhat similar to what we do for Groundhog Day, but, it takes place obviously in their town square. And what we do takes place at Gobbler's Knob. But other than that, I mean, it's based off of, our heritage from our German settlers and traditions from way back when.
So in Germany, this was common before then, or is this something that they just decided to start? I guess what I'm trying to ask, was there any of this in Germany before it came to Punxsutawney? Yeah,
there was. They said, they did that. The same idea and the same thing over there. Basically, what the idea behind it was so they could predict whether or not and when to plant their crops. So it goes back to, like a farming type thing as well, because obviously you need to know whenever, the first or the last frost is going to hit and all of that before you can, make your planting arrangements for the year.
Yeah, we love a good story here on this podcast, and a legendary story like Phil's is one that I just can't wait to ask you more about. So, for example, is it true that there's only one Phil?
Absolutely. There's only one Punxsutawney Phil, and there only ever has been one Phil. So every September, he has a picnic, and it's called the annual Groundhog Picnic, and he receives the elixir of life. So with each sip he takes of this groundhog punch, he gets 7 more years of life and longevity. So there is only one Punxsutawney Phil, and there only will ever be one Punxsutawney Phil.
That's amazing.
So what does the punch taste like?
I couldn't taste it when I was there.
Yeah.
They don't usually let people taste it. It has a bunch of secret ingredients in it. Only the handlers know what goes into it. Some of them are really difficult ingredients to find. So, it has a taste of all of its own, but Phil seems to really enjoy it.
So I'm going to try not to get too excited and ask you too far ahead of all the questions that I have. But when did it start becoming a spectacle? When did people start flocking from college campuses and from all over New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio to see this?
It really started after the movie. We did see a little bit of it prior to that, whenever the internet presence and we had a better internet presence and were able to reach more people. But once the movie came out, we definitely saw a tremendous influx. That's when we had our largest crowd. The first Saturday, Groundhog Day, after the movie came out, we had 35,000 people in town. So that was pretty tremendous, especially whenever we're a population of 5,500 residents. So after that, it's continued to sustain, and now we have a lot of people that come for their bucket list and for their birthday. So and people still really enjoy the movie. It's a classic. People still watch it to this day, so they want to come and experience, Groundhog Day and everything we have here.
Now, I know there's other types of movies that have people coming to the town where it was, supposedly filmed, and they look for like A Christmas Story, the house where that was filmed. Do you get people coming to your town looking for what the movie was, that same bed and breakfast or that pothole where Bill Murray was, stepping in?
Yes, all the time. And usually about once a week I have to dash someone's dreams because they come here like, oh, I want to see, the bed and breakfast, and I want to see where this was and that was. And I have to tell them, I'm sorry, but it was actually filmed in Woodstock, Illinois. I had this family that came this past summer, and they had asked the same questions, and I had to inform them, oh, I'm sorry, it's filmed in Woodstock. And they're like, you're kidding. We just came from Chicago. We didn't even stop there. It's like, I am so sorry.
It's like a 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would no, any drive over 5 hours, you have to do a little better research.
Yeah, to each to his own.
Well, I would think that some entrepreneurial, innkeeper might paint their bed and breakfast in Punxsutawney the same colors as the one from the movie. Has there been any sort of recreation to kind of capitalize on that?
To a certain extent. We have a few bed and breakfasts in town, and some of the rooms are named after the stars of the movie, like the Bill Murray room, obviously, and that sort of thing. And then in our old hotel, which currently isn't up and running, the Panel Hotel, it also had rooms that were named after people that starred in the movie. But other than that, no one has really recreated the movie type, picturesque type things. Our biggest thing is, we definitely appreciate and, everything that the movie did for us, but it's definitely, we were around a long time before that, and we're going to continue on. So we like to think that they borrowed some of our tradition to do their movie, and we're going to continue doing how we do things.
It is different. I've been there twice, and it is definitely it's definitely different. It was a literal party for, I don't know, 12 hours from 8 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning. It is a party. You
mean people stay up all night waiting?
People stay up all night. And
wow.
It's kind of the type of thing where, and Katie, jump in, obviously. But the earlier you get there, the closer you get. But the more time you have to spend outside.
Right.
So you got to kind of try to. I'm not saying there's no bathroom. At least not in the front.
Yeah, there's not an outhouse next to the. Yeah.
So you can't bring a cooler. There's porta potties, but if you want to be in the front, you can't be chugging
hot chocolate. Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to leave.
Like a catch-22. You're either gonna drink your coffee or you're gonna have your spot. So you kind of gotta decide. My suggestion would be, definitely travel with a partner or a buddy, and have them save your space for you, and don't go to the bathroom together and have one person save your spot. But it gets packed, and it's hard to maneuver around, and that's the fun part about it. I'm sure it's something like how it is in Times Square, for New Year's Eve. If you move, you're losing your spot, and then you got to start all over again. So it's a lot of fun. We do have bathrooms, so don't be scared about that.
Are those new?
No, they're not new.
Oh.
Well,
you just weren't looking in the right place.
No, I was astounded by what I was seeing.
Right, you were anticipating Phil. You don't want to lose your spot.
I thought there was going to be maybe 500, 600, 700 people there, and that was not the case.
Right.
Well, Katie, for people like myself who haven't been there, I'm assuming being executive director, you kind of have this understanding of, all the different places and events and areas people can go. So can you tell us what the day looks like from start to finish?
Sure. We actually start the celebration on the February the 1st, so that would be the day before. We have events all throughout the community. We have in our town square, which is called Barclay Square. It's our town park. We have a celebration tent, and there's various entertainment and stuff that goes on in there, different competitions and kids' activities. And then we also have art and craft shows all throughout the community. We have the Fantastic Phil walking tours. We have they're 6-foot fiberglass Phils. We have 32 of those, and we take people on a tour of all of those and give them the history and the information about each Phil. We do a hay ride. We do a food tour. So there's really something for everybody. And we have an event. It's called the Members Only Reception. It's anybody can be a member of the Groundhog Club, and you can join by going to our website, which is groundhog.org. And this event's one of my favorite. We get people from all over the world that will come to this, and they have the ability to get to know and talk to the inner circle. Punxsutawney Phil is at that event, and everybody gets really super excited. And then after that, we have our annual Groundhog Banquet, and we always have a guest speaker for that. We announce the Groundhog ambassadors for the year and all sorts of fun things. And then we round out the night and start into Groundhog Day itself with the Shadow Summit. So we have a fiberglass Phil that we put up a flagpole, and we ring in the Groundhog Day with the Phil. And then pretty much after that, people will either, go on their merry way for a couple hours, try to get some sleep, or they'll just wait around. And the buses start at 3 a.m. and the bus stops open at 2 a.m. So they have the ability to hang out and then get their bus ticket, wait in line for an hour, and then they can ride the bus up to the Knob. And then we do a lot of different activities at the Knob. They have a great stage show. They have different entertainment and variety acts. And that goes on from 3 until 6 a.m. And then 6 o'clock, we have a fireworks show, and it goes off right overhead. It's absolutely spectacular. And after that, we do the national anthem. The inner circle gets introduced after they make their trek down. And then they'll talk a little bit about the legend. And then Phil has his big moment. So then we get to see if it's going to be 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring. So there's lots of stuff that goes on. And then after the fact, back downtown for the next 2 days, we have even more events that go on. And, we like to invite everybody to come, even day trippers. If you can't make it for Groundhog Day itself, definitely stop down on, the day before, the day after. We have a lot of great things that go on throughout the course of the celebration.
So I was there in February 1997 with our West Virginia University hockey team. That I was kind of, I didn't tell them we were going. We were on an away trip at Indiana University, PA, and told them we were going to swing by a friend's house in Punxsutawney and just kind of hang out. And then I told them that we're all staying and doing Groundhog Day, and we're staying the night there. And a lot of them weren't happy. But a lot of them were, and 14 of us stayed, and the rest of us, we were in cars, so the rest of them drove home. And we packed my truck, which was an Isuzu Trooper, with all 14 guys, and we were staying on top of this huge hill, and we're driving down this giant hill into the town, and Katie probably knows exactly where this is, and there's a sharp turn to the right. There's signs that say like 25 miles an hour, and it's like a 90-degree curve in the road. And our guy who was driving, who wasn't drinking, but apparently was just tired from staying up all night, just did not stop in time or slow down in time. And we completely crossed the road and hit the guardrail. And
this is terrible.
It was awful.
My goodness.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, there's 14 of us in this car. So it wasn't, we survived it. And everything else.
Everybody okay?
It wasn't like a huge accident. We just hit the guardrail lightly. But that's how it started. That's how our night there started, and it got a lot better quickly. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, I hope so.
So picked the bumper up, got it in the car, and we're good to go.
Oh, what a day.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Katie, I was kind of wondering, you mentioned this inner circle.
Right.
Who are they? And I'm kind of wondering how I can get into this inner circle.
You got to dress right, first of all. They're up there, man.
The Inner Circle, they're essentially the board of directors of the Groundhog Club. The Groundhog Club is actually a nonprofit organization, but they're the gentlemen that you will see in the top hats and tuxedos on the stage, and the ones that pull Phil out and read the prognostication and all of that. To be in the Inner Circle, one of the prerequisites is that you have to live within the Punxsutawney area school district. So looks like you're going to have to move if you want to be in the Inner Circle.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yep. And then basically you have to have, the ability to have free time to work towards the mission of the club, which is to perpetuate the legend. A lot of our Inner Circle members are their own business owners, so they have the ability to you do what they want with their time and help out as much as they can. So that definitely is a plus. But yeah, they're essentially the board of directors, and there hasn't been a woman. We always get asked the question if there's been a woman on the Inner Circle, and there hasn't been. There's been women nominated, but they just have never made it. So
what is the process after you're nominated?
It's a secret process. They have to be nominated by a current member, and then they'll evaluate you as a person, for lack of better terms, to see what your involvement is with the community, what sort of assets you can bring to the club. Usually whenever someone leaves the club, like an Inner Circle member, unfortunately it's when they pass away, or some of them do retire, and everybody has a job in the club, and it's basically to fill that position after that person leaves. So, for instance, we had a gentleman, he was the handyman. He did absolutely anything that we needed, with the property up at Gobbler's Knob. If I had any issues at our office, I'd give him a call. And, we're currently looking for a new member, and we have been for 2 years now, to kind of fulfill that position. So that's one of the ones where he's really hard to fill. So we haven't been able to come up with a new member. So.
Well, I have a suggestion. It sounds like these Inner Circle people all have the world's coolest nicknames. So yeah. Perhaps whoever wants to be the handyman or the Mr. or Mrs. Fix-It better just come with that great nickname. I mean, do they come with these nicknames, or do they get them after the fact? We're talking Iceman, Moonshine.
Right.
Where do these come from?
Well, a lot of them, the president of the club at the time that they get in will give them the nickname. For instance, there's always an Iceman in the Inner Circle. So even before Butch Philibert was the Iceman, for whatever reason, it's a tradition that we always have an Iceman. AJ DeRoom, he is one of our new handlers, but his nickname is the Rainmaker, and he's actually a third generation Inner Circle member. So his great grandpa and grandpa and his father all had the nickname the Rainmaker. So that's kind of how he got his. The other ones are different plays on what they do for a living. Shingle Shaker, he's a roofer. He owns a roofing company. The Coal Front, he owns a mining company. And then some of them just don't make any sense at all. So like the Stump Warden, he was a teacher. So there's no really correlation with that. But some of them have some, great stories associated with them. And then other ones are just, weather related. And that's the name they got, and it stuck.
Well, for the people listening who aren't familiar with the Inner Circle, those are the guys wearing the top hats and the tuxedos. Mm-hmm. Basically, you
see them on TV.
Yeah, you see them all the time.
In the morning.
They look like the VIPs besides Phil, of course, of the day.
Yep.
So
they like to get their picture taken.
You have no choice. You're You're dressed like that. I mean, if I walked around dressed like that, everyone would be taking pictures of me.
Yeah.
You know what, though? One time we went to New York City last year for the Puppy Bowl. We filmed for the coin toss. Punxsutawney Phil and his handlers did the official coin toss for the Puppy Bowl. And we're walking down, just right down the street. We're pushing Phil in his to-go carrier, and the guys are dressed in their tuxedos, and no one even looked the other way. It was just like, oh, okay, like this doesn't happen usually, but
That's normal in New
yeah,
York.
we just didn't stick out.
I'm telling you, it had to just be New York City. It's a theme this season for us, but you have to go real weird in New York City to get anybody's attention. So don't feel too badly.
Okay, that sounds good.
That is true. We've done a lot with New York this year.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a rumor going around that Oprah met Phil.
Oprah did meet Phil, and that was in 1995. So Phil and the handler at the time, Bill Dealey, did the Oprah show. And she got to meet him, and he got to meet her, and the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Did Phil get a car?
Yeah.
No, he didn't get a car. He didn't get anything fun.
Oh, come on, Oprah.
Well, actually, he got a mug. The mug's in my office here. But
there you go.
That's all I have from that. So.
What other famous celebrities has Phil met over the years?
Phil met President Ronald Reagan for the 100th anniversary of Groundhog Day in 1987. So he was able to spend 7 minutes with the president in the Oval Office. He's also met Dick Vitale, who does the bracket picking challenge for March Madness. Mm-hmm. We traveled out to Indianapolis a couple years ago and went head to head with Dickie V on the bracket picking, and that was another one that he was able to.
How did he do?
I don't know how I missed that one.
Yeah, did he do pretty?
He did pretty well. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
He didn't win, but he did well.
Now, some of these next questions are going to sound like we're making this up, but what's going on with Groundhog Day, the musical on Broadway?
Well, we went to the musical in April, and it finished its run this past fall. Last we heard, there really isn't any set plans for anything at this point. They did talk about, potentially taking it on the road and then doing it again in London, because it did originate in London the year prior. So we haven't really heard too terribly much about it. I mean, we're disappointed whenever we heard that it was going to be done its run, and we really enjoyed the show. And if you didn't get to see it, you definitely missed out. So
I missed out.
You missed out.
Yeah,
that's that.
That's
and
her.
You just missed out.
Now, when you told me about this earlier, we talked off mic. I didn't believe you, but has Phil actually gone to outer space, like outer space?
Outer space, yes. So we have a competition every year, and it's called the Worldwide Adventures of Phil. So it's similar to, I'm not sure if you've ever read the book, what's his name? Flat Stanley.
Okay.
Yeah, we were, for a long time there when that was real popular, I was getting a bunch of little Flat Stanleys in the mail, so I'd have to take them to the zoo where Phil is, and I'd take them up to the knob and take the picture, and I thought, well, why don't we see where we can send Phil? So every year we do a competition over the summertime. People can request a picture of Punxsutawney Phil, and we'll send them a 5x7, and they can show them all around their community, wherever they go on vacation, anything like that. And last year, our international winner definitely set the bar extremely high. They actually work for NASA. So he went to space. Yep. We got those pictures, and they emailed us and told us, okay, this is what we're planning on doing. And they sent us the launch information. We pulled it up on the computer, and, we're waiting for the thing to launch. And then they had to cancel it that day for the weather reasons. And so they resent the stuff whenever it was going to happen again. And, we watched him go to space, and then we're like, okay. And then they were giving us screenshots of the actual shuttle in space with the picture of Phil on it. And it's crazy. It's absolutely amazing. So they definitely set the bar really, really, really high for the international category. I don't know really how you top that, but
I don't know either.
Yeah, so that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, just seeing the pictures of this legendary character in outer space. It sounds, like I said before, almost unbelievable, like we're making it up. But that is so cool, and like you said, there's no way to top that.
Right, yeah. we have Groundhog fans and fanatics from all over, and they have lots of crazy and interesting jobs. And this was, just one of them. And we were very fortunate to have them participate in it because it gives us a great story.
That is a good story.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I'd like to go to space, even if it's just my picture.
Might as well. Quick break to talk about podcastyourstory.com. Sometimes in life, the best moments seem to pass by too quickly. So why not capture those memories with podcastyourstory.com? From that time you went to Groundhog Day with all your college friends, to what it's like growing up with your brothers and sisters. The professionals at podcastyourstory.com record an audio interview of you telling your story. And the final product is a podcast you can share online with family, friends, and the world. Tell your story in your own words with podcastyourstory.com. And our listeners get 20% off your first recording. Just mention promo code GTS. That's 20% off your first recording with podcastyourstory.com by mentioning promo code GTS. And now, back to our interview with Katie. Well, Katie, we always like to ask about the people behind the scenes, and you being executive director, how'd you get involved with the Groundhog Day Club?
Well, I grew up in Punxsutawney, and I went to college actually for political science in a nearby college about 45 minutes away from here. I decided, I'm going to leave the area. I want to go somewhere warm, and I moved to Florida for a couple years and decided, I absolutely did not like it at all. So I relocated back to Punxsutawney. The position became available, and I applied for it. A lot of what I did in college, I worked with nonprofits and was the president of a few nonprofit organizations in college. And I always thought, it would be a lot of fun to do that sort of thing. And the event planning was always something I enjoyed. So I applied for the position, and 6 Groundhog Days later, the rest is history.
Yeah, well, congratulations, because it takes a special type of person to organize these larger events, and it's on an annual basis. So on February, 3rd, or you don't get to just go, oh, that was great, it's all over. It's basically, all right, let's have a couple more meetings, back to the drawing board, and how are we going to do this all over again?
I'm already getting calls for Groundhog Day 2019, and I'm just like, oh, my Lanta, give me 2 weeks, just give me some time here. But yeah, that's the thing with the Groundhog Club. It's a question I always get, oh, it's only once a year, da, da, da. It's like, well, it's a full-time job. I mean, we do events and appearances, all throughout the year. We go to the Penguins game here in Pittsburgh. We go to the PA Farm show. We've done baseball games with the Pirates, elementary schools, elderly care facilities. Phil's been to weddings. You name it, Phil's been there, and we've probably done it. So
weddings.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing him in all the pictures, the formal pictures. Yeah. But
you wouldn't believe how people react to it.
Yeah.
Okay, what can you?
I've been there, so I get it. And I have the reason we went was my buddy whose house we stayed at is from there, and we worked together. We were both RAs, and he told me all about it, and I was like, I gotta go. And he's like, you can stay at our house, and I was like, I'm bringing my team, and he's all into it back then, and I'm sure that's how the whole town is.
Yeah, well, but it's not all sunshine and roses, though, huh, Katie? I've heard that Phil's had some trouble with the law.
Trouble with the law. He's had a few different, interactions with the law. A couple people in different states, trying to hold him accountable if the winter weather goes too long and that sort of thing. But, seeing as it's been all tongue in cheek, it always ends well. Do you know that's coming though? Because you're a person who's organizing this super large event, and there's all the things you already mentioned happening that whole weekend, and then you wake up and some politician in Ohio sentences him to death. Do they at least give you a little heads up, tongue in cheek, this is coming? Most of the time, no. Whenever I got that one, I literally turned on my computer and my phone was going off, and I pulled up my email and stuff, and I was just like, what? And like they wanted comments made about this, and I was like, holy cow, like what are you talking about? Like give me a minute here. So we work fast on our feet, and we're able to come up with our statements and whatnot. And we're usually pretty easy and to get along with the tongue-in-cheek type things. And, we're able to actually invite that gentleman to Groundhog Day the following year and, picked on him a little bit about what he did to Phil. And, but he enjoyed himself whenever he came, and, now they're buddies.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know.
it's kind of just like it's a publicity stunt, but it's like something you can't prepare for. And then this guy is, grabbing some of the spotlight. When I read that article, it turns out he has his own imposter groundhog up in Ohio. He didn't blame him for the weather being,
right.
He blames Phil. And I don't know.
That's because Phil is the real deal. There's a lot of imposters out there. There's Warrington Willie, he's in Canada. There's General Beauregard. There's a lobster in Maine that predicts the weather. All this crazy
Lobsters
stuff.
Can't predict weather.
Okay,
Everyone knows
that's what they say. I know, it's crazy.
That is
Only
crazy.
Groundhog does that, right?
Oh.
So it's always something. But Punxsutawney Phil is the only one that had a movie made about him, and going on the 132nd year for the tradition. I'm pretty sure we're good to go and set in our ways, and everybody else can try to imitate Phil.
Well, looking ahead now, what are your future plans to build Phil Nation even greater than it is today?
Well, we're currently working on plans for building a visitor center up at Gobbler's Knob. And the Knob is where everything takes place on Groundhog Day. We currently have a building up there that we use for other events throughout the course of the year. There's about 16 acres of property up there. We have a trail up there as well, conveniently called the Gobbler's Knob Trail. So what we're going to try to do is make it more of a tourist destination and put in the visitor center and hopefully capture people throughout the course of the year and get them to spend some more time with us. So that's our big plans for right now.
Yeah, what other events can people look forward to when visiting outside of the Groundhog Day holiday?
As I mentioned before, we do the picnic, so that's also a part of the legend because Phil gets his elixir, and that's always every September. We do Hogtoberfest, which is a craft beer festival. We have a wine festival. We do different programs and for children and that correlate with the trail and different Girl Scout programs and that sort of thing. Those are all on our website. We basically have one event a month throughout the course of the year. So just like Groundhog Day, there's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, you don't want to burn Phil out with too many events.
No.
He's busy as he is.
Being a nonprofit, we have to continue to perpetuate the legend of Phil. Raise some funds to put on Groundhog Day. So he enjoys his job. You can tell just a little smile on his face. He likes what he does. So,
well, Groundhog Day is approaching quickly. It's a Friday morning this year. How many people do you expect this year?
We're expecting around 20 to 25,000 people. So, again, that will be a huge influx for our little town of 5,000, 5,500 people. So we're looking for a good year and a big year. And the next two are also going to be really big. So it'll be a Saturday morning and a Sunday morning. So this will be our preparation for the even bigger.
That is nice. You have no leap year to worry about.
No.
And you have 3 straight weekend events.
Yep. So that's, great for us. We enjoy it. We enjoy the, being busy and entertaining all the visitors from all over the world. So the more the merrier for us.
So to give Rich an idea, too, of what happens, at least when I was there, it was a little bit like college game day, where they have a live DJ on the stage playing all kinds of music and basically just keeping the crowd just be like, there's signs for what school you're from and where people are from. and he just keeps yelling at people to make noise and scream and dance, and it's a really long overnight party. It's fabulous.
It sounds like something that everybody should try at least once. So, Katie, what advice would you give to someone looking to make the most out of their first visit for Groundhog Day?
Well, first thing I would say would be to come prepared for the weather. More than likely it's going to be cold. It's Western Pennsylvania. It's February. And it's in the middle of the night, so definitely come prepared and, wear enough warm clothes. Get ready for, a lot of fun, meeting new people, having new experiences, and, experiencing the legend of Punxsutawney Phil. We hope that you come at least once, but we hope that you are, a return visitor. So, make it an annual trip. We have people that come from all over the country that meet their friends here, and this is the only time they get together throughout the course of the year. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, you either have the gene or you don't, is what we say. So you either believe it and get Groundhog Day, or you don't. It's all about having fun. There's nothing that is, about it that would be controversial. Whether it's 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring, it's all lighthearted, and we all just try to have a good time and just appreciate the legend and appreciate Punxsutawney Phil.
And you should also let your friends know that you're taking them to go,
And
so they can be prepared with warmer clothing, and they don't curse you off for the next 2 weeks after you get back.
Either that, or you can pack for them. So if you're not going to tell them, then pack for them.
Neither happened.
Oh, no.
Well, Katie, one more time, where is the best place for people to go to get some more information if they're looking to plan a trip?
Sure. The best place to go is our website, which is groundhog.org. We have all the information on there regarding the events, the busing, and anything and everything you can, that you'd ever ask about Groundhog Day, we can answer right through that website. We also are very active with our social media, and, look us up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But definitely check us out on the website, groundhog.org.
All right. Well, Katie, thanks so much, and we really appreciate you spending the time with us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Katie Donald. Bill?
That was great. She's fun and serious at the same time, which I think you have to be in her position.
I think so, too. She's carrying on this tradition where people travel to see a groundhog, predict the weather. But she does it in such a way where they can continue this year after year after year, and this small town could have tens of thousands of people come and make it a pretty successful event. And she mentioned that they basically have an event every month. So
yeah,
she's a busy person.
We can go. I'd go back. I just will be a little more prepared this time.
Yeah, dressed the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get that visitor center, you could pop in there, see what things look like. Yeah. Well, do you think you're going to make the trip in the next couple of years?
We have 3 years now. Well, I'm not going next weekend, but 2 years and it's on a weekend, which makes sense because it will, staying up all night, as you know, doesn't get any easier as we get older. So that definitely has to happen.
It can take a lot out of you, but everybody needs something to look forward to, and a holiday like Groundhog Day in the middle of the winter can be something where you get to maybe take a road trip, maybe fly into Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Buffalo, see the falls, drive a couple hours, whatever floats your boat. But
do you want to go?
I do.
Yeah.
I think we need to go, and I need to work out the logistics. I want to be I want to be warm. I want to get to the front like you guys did.
They just got to get a little sticker. I didn't tell her that, but I probably should have told her. That would have been funny. We got these stickers and walked right up to the front. I should have also warned her about I didn't tell her about the hockey, the car thing until we were on the air. She's like, "Oh no!" I was like,
"Well,
it could have been bad. It ended up in the best case scenario, but it could have been bad."
Yeah, safety first. Safety first. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed our interview with Katie and hearing all about Punxsutawney Phil and Groundhog Day.
Join us next year at Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to be making the trip. And if you have any questions that you wish we would have asked or any comments for us, you can post them on Facebook or send us them on Twitter. And as always, I'm Rich Douglas.
I'm Bill Easton.
Until next time.